Someplace else.
Already considering, but there is
Pocketed one sunny day on Lake Superior. Mommy, what I found aren't they pretty? Lying right beside her as she falls asleep, she wants to take them back home to the city. Evidence of history, testament of time, rescue from their fate as grains of sand. Cold and hard, I pick them up and turn them on my palm, and then I feel them forming in my head. Gentle waves washed over them, pouring turbulence. Time is proven, nothing stays the same. Gentle waves wash over me, and as far as I can see, they're about like me. Everything must change. Sitting on my windowsill at the kitchen sink, studying when I stand and wash the dishes. Sitting polished beautifully by nature's awesome hand, they're perfect jewels at my fondest wishes. Gentle waves washed over them, pouring to millennia. Time is proven, nothing stays the same. Gentle waves wash over me, I admit it readily. Just like me, everything must change. choose. Could just be insanity. Land of the silver birch, home of the beaver. There's where the mighty moose wanders at will. In my dreams I wander too, weightless as the wind. I wander my way home to you. I am your unrequited lover with a haunted tragic ache. And beside my soul as one bless me with this curse, this desire I did not choose. It could just be insanity. My petals keen and bright, flashing on in silver. Follow on the wild goose flight. When I die, my soul will fly, and flashing on in silver, will head north the peace and light. And your unrequited lover with a haunted tragic ache, and a woman inside my soul as wide as bless me with this curse, this bright desire I did not choose. Could just be insanity. There were pickup sticks, there were cardboard bricks, red and green and blue and almost indestructible. You could build a wall, make it 10 feet tall, till your brother knocked it over with his tricycle. And all the things that they could do with plastic you could see through. How the password stayed so secret in the sleeve. And highway bingo with those little windows you could close or open anytime. Cheating never crossed your mind. You could make your own, make a telephone with 2 soup cans and just a bit of string, paper plates and beads, make a tambourine to accompany yourself while you dance and sing. And all the things that they could do with plastic you could see through. How the password stayed so secret in the sleeve. And highway bingo with those little windows you could close or open anytime. Cheating never crossed your mind. Be a rock star if you like. Grab a hairbrush, it's and rise and shine, toys at breakfast time. A molded plastic cowboy boot to drink my milk from.
Yes.
and a treasure chest. Captain Crunch knows best, saving all those silly box tops to get me one. And all the things that they could do with plastic, you could see how the password stayed so secret in the sleeve. And highway they go with those little windows, you could close your windows anytime. Cheating never crossed your mind. I had entirely too much time up here, and I asked our friend Janine if she would tell us a story. She said there wasn't enough time. So I'm going to relinquish some of my singing time for a little story time. Will you please? Please. I'll accompany you. You tell the story dramatically, and I'll create an accompaniment. Accompaniment.
So this is the story of how this cover happened. There was a man who had an idea to have a cover where he was dressed in coat and tails with an umbrella and out in he's already editing me. The story of my life.
And when we went out to dinner one night with Puck and Bill, they envisioned me in a tuxedo standing in Lake Superior with a red umbrella. This is the cover I had in my mind for 4 years.
So we tried it with the coat and tails, and it didn't turn out. So one day we're walking out of the house, and we look at the beach, and he says, "Let's do it." And he takes all the umbrellas in the back of the car, and we head down to the beach. And I'm up on the top of the cliff above the beach at the roadside turnout. And he's down there in the water with the umbrellas, arranging the umbrellas in the water, wrangling the umbrellas in the water, and I have photos with the proof. And what happened was, he envisioned this magic, and he took the picture with his camera on his phone and made it happen. So I'm snapping away up above, and he was even thinking of using a drone and photographing. He brought a drone. He bought all the red umbrellas, yeah, to do the picture. And
2 years ago I bought.
And that's the story of the cover of Superior Voyage.
Oh, I'm so glad we got her to do that. I wish I was there. She'd write a song if she could find a pen. She'd be beautiful if her estrogen wasn't gone. She's crushing on a guy who's half her age. A year and a half, that's a long ass stage to go through. Gone. She's so leavable. kissed the prince who turned into a frog. Now the man of her dreams is an old black dog, and he's going, 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 gone. Her last bit of hope just walked out in a huff. One golden memory is flimsy stuff to lean on. It's going, going, gone. She's so leavable, leavable, leavable. In Louisville, she's so leavable, leavable, leavable. In Louisville. Her heart's a shadow, long and thin, and almost one-dimensional. Sitting at this bar again is purely unintentional. She should be going. She's talking to the barkeep, and she'll have her long sad say. She's stuck at the top of the Ferris wheel, crying in her Chardonnay. She should be going. She should be going. She parks her heart in a box on the shelf. Day by day she leaves herself, and she's going, 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 gone. The young one asked the older one a question. The young one asked the older one a question. Why do I have inside of me both good and bad intention? The young one asked the older one a question. The older one thought a moment, realized that the question was about the nature of good and evil, and after thinking for a moment said, "Two wolves abide within each human heart. Two wolves abide within each human heart. As day and night time share the sky, so each wolf has a part. Two wolves abide within each human heart." The night wolf is resentment and regret. The night wolf is resentment and regret. The night wolf brings you sorrow and won't let you forget. The night wolf is resentment and regret. The day wolf is compassion, truth, and peace. The day wolf is compassion, truth, and peace. The day wolf stares the night wolf down and brings you sweet release. The day wolf is compassion, truth, and peace. The younger one thought for a moment and said, "Well, the day wolf is the only wolf I need. The day wolf is the only wolf I need." Said Said the old one to the younger one, then that's the wolf you feed. When the day wolf is the only wolf you need.
You ready to go, Martin?
I'm just gonna do a little rearranging here. All right.
Need some furniture rearranging these.
Gideon, can you look and see if if everything is centered there on the camera? Are we good?
Sure.
Okay, good. Sure. He doesn't care.
I will confirm.
Okay, good. Thank you. Welcome everybody to the Superior Voyage book launch reading. Most of you know who I am, but for those who are joining us from YouTube, my name is Marty Acketts, and I'm the Adult Programming Coordinator here at Peter White Public Library. And before we get started, I've got a couple groups to thank. First, I have to thank the Friends of the Peter White Public Library who provide the live streaming equipment. So those of you that are watching online or watching this video after the fact, you have the Friends to thank for that, and they support so much of what we do here. And then I also have to thank the Carol Paul Memorial Trust Fund, which provide all the funds for the live music entertainment that we have. So the reason that Terry's up here singing is because of the Carol Paul Memorial Trust Fund. So we have to thank them as well. So I'm going to just do a plug for a couple things that are upcoming here at the library. Tomorrow night we have a really special event. It's the last event that Peter White is hosting for the Americans in the Holocaust exhibit that is now on display at the library, the Hardin Library at NMU. But tomorrow night we're going to be screening an episode of the miniseries Band of Brothers. In that particular episode, the group of soldiers go in and liberate a concentration camp. It's a really powerful episode. And then after that, our own Janine Rastel is going to be speaking about her father's experience in liberating Dachau when he went in and did that. So it's going to be a great event. I encourage you to come. Starts at 6:30 tomorrow night. On Friday we have, if you're like looking for something really sunny and bright to do, we're screening Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. So if you know, this weather is going to be going away, and then it's a matinee, so if it's a little dark, you know, you can go out into the sun afterward. But we're going to be showing that in the community room here at noon on Friday. And then next week, Monday, we have our Halloween hoedown, Northwards in Music. B.G. Bradley, the 2022 Marquette Art Awards Writer of the Year, is going to be here with some friends doing music and poetry and telling stories. So all kinds of great stuff coming up. And there are 2 flyers back there for October and November if you want to keep track of what's happening. So here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to, when I have Rick come up to speak for a little bit, I'm going to try to wrangle the poets on stage. Okay? And this, you think this is what?
Please do that.
You think this is an easy thing, it's not, okay? Poets have a mind of their own, and they want to do things their own way. So what I'm going to do is the first 15 readers, starting with Rebecca, and down through Claudia. We're going to start with Rebecca over here, and then we'll just line you up like that so that you all sit up here during the first reading, and then it's much easier instead of waiting for people to come onto stage. You're just right up here. So if you want to start making your way up here, that would be great. Stand. Okay, good. See, I told you. If wine is not involved, they don't come quickly. Okay? All right. All right. See? It worked. Wow. Okay. And then I'm going to introduce, I'm going to introduce the gentleman who is literally the reason that we are here tonight. He's been working on this anthology for over a year now. He's had this vision for the anthology for about 4 years. Everybody in this room owes a huge thank you to my good friend, Rick Rasto.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. I'm Rick Rasto. I'm the editor and publisher of Maiden Voyage. I'm not going to talk very long because we've got a lot of readers. So what's going to happen tonight, first of all, I'd like to thank Marty and the Peter White Public Library for having this 10-year anthology book launch. They had the 5-year anthology book launch, and maybe they'll have the 15-year anthology book launch. So what's going to happen is everybody's going to come up, they're going to tell you who they are, they're going to read one selection from Superior Voyage, and that's what's going to happen. If you want to see their bios are in the book, so we're not going to do any of that stuff. I don't want it to be like The Flash, but it's not going to be like a turtle running across stage either. So thank you everybody for coming, and Becky, you're up first.
Hi everyone, I'm Becky Tavernini. Just because I'm first, I want to thank Rick for taking on the gargantuan task of putting this beautiful anthology together, and those prior as well, and Janine for corralling us and nurturing this community of poets, which I'm sure is not easy to do, but you do it so beautifully. Thank you. My poem is called Memos. Late daylight in late December glows blue beneath my snowshoe imprints like lily pads on a secret lake peering through. Late month thaw reveals the wide conversational dashes of otters trespassing the snow, then a hole in the ice, a period, portal to mollusks below. The late arriving jet slices the atmosphere like scissors locked on a wrapping paper's path. The late decade's penultimate week falls like heavy debts of snow from weighted branches, sending sound waves through the still air, ticking nearly imperceptibly. Late season blue jays and chickadees command their platoons with a few chosen tunes threaded like a hem through the treetops. In last week's Times, my pen interprets acrostics, transcribing knowledge or not on a thin sheet of tree, as if that's enough to transmit what we know so far. It's enough. It's all enough. The whispering clouds, indelible tracks, the bubbles rising and bursting from the riverbed, the vermiculated word search underneath the rock. Late mom, late dad, late friend, I search for your message prism, foreign vocalization, shout to the heart from a marching band drum. Let me peer in there for an instant while the sound and light is vacant.
I'm John Taylor. My selection is called Marionettes. The curtains rise on the stage called Now, for a show for children who pretend they can't see the marionettes' wires, making them all applaud the puppet master's crimes. It goes like this. A madman becomes a dictator, becomes a god. becomes a string, and the marionettes dance. A person becomes a follower, becomes a warrior, becomes a string, and the marionettes gather. A lie becomes a rumor, becomes the truth, becomes a string, and the marionettes march. A loss becomes a rally, becomes a riot, becomes a match, and the marionettes burn. The curtains fall to a standing ovation for the Mad Puppet Master show. It was always about him, not the marionettes he played like Nero Spittle, never telling them the stage was their funeral pyre. Next show's at 3.
I'm Christine Sari. I don't know. Is it right? I chose the shortest poem in interest of time. It's called Sentinels. 3 are left behind the house, 3 conifers, tall and tattered. My father planted them at his mountain farm when he began his new life before the war. Planted rows of trees to form a rectangle, named it Tanneneck, German for square of firs. They grew tall and taller over 80 years, spread their branches, dropped their cones, served as playground for squirrels. Crows spied from their tops. They fell one by one in storms racing up the mountain, struck by lightning, cut to give each other room. Today, only 3 are left, in vigil over the valley. When I stand on surrounding hills, I search for these sentinels to find the farm, see them reach into the sky from afar, telling me, there is my home. I trust they will outlive me, tower over the red tile roof for years to come, guide our sons and grandchildren when they hike, run in the hills, search for the farm in the distance.
My name is Jane Puretow, and I'm going to read from a prose piece that's in here called Swimming the Great Lakes. The best swims, though, were in the boreal forest and Precambrian shield rock-encompassed lakes and rivers of my native Midwest place, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. In this area, many, if not most people, have second homes or cottages, regionally called camps, many of them with saunas built in imitation of their ancestors in Finland. The swimming after sauna is the most refreshing of all. We would steam up in the sauna, pouring lulaba, cool water with the tinge of sacredness on the heated rocks, which would sizzle with clouds that would billow up to us, sitting naked or in bathing suits on the tiered wooden benches. And when we couldn't stand our beating hearts and sweating hot bodies anymore, we would hurry down, jogging down the path, jump into the lake with a rewarding shout and a whoosh of relief. As kids, we would do this over and over. As adults, we would wait, chatting in our lawn chairs or across the picnic table, until the kids had had their 2 or so hours of fun. Then we would refill the sauna stove with wood, leisurely sweat up, and take only 2 or 3 trips from the sauna to the lake, the last one perhaps with an added-on slow crawl to the middle or across. As neighborhood children in Ishpeming's Cleveland location on the last day of school in June, we would hike through rocky outcrops, birch stands, and cedar swamps a mile or so to Cedar Lake, one of the 7 or so lakes within the city limits of my small hometown of Ishpeming. Among them lakes Angeline, Teal, Bancroft, Sally, Deer, and Cedar, to baptize ourselves for the summer, our fingers side-blinding our eyes like draft horses to "don't peek" as we pushed past the end portion of the lake where the boys were swimming naked, just like they did in school. We girls trudged uphill and down to the other end of the lake called Shallow. These glaciers carved lakes dot upper Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, and swimming in their sometimes tannic but more often translucent clear waters is a northern ritual. We were good swimmers in Ishpeming, better I have noticed than many. First, because of the abundance of lakes and rivers in which to swim during our elementary and school childhood years, but second, because Ishpeming High School, subsidized by the regionalistic, paternalistic Cleveland Cliffs Iron Mining Company, had a pool in which we had single-sex lessons once a week for 4 years, emerging as junior Red Cross lifesavers, knowing the ins and outs of kicks, flutter, frog, and matching strokes, crawl, back, breast, side. We even learned to dive. 3 steps, bumps, and off. Even today, at 80, I swim as often as I can, usually 3 times a week.
Well, I'm Carolyn McManus, and the selection I chose is COVID-19 Blues. And I'm not going to read this, I'm going to sing it. So to do that, I'd appreciate it if we could all get kind of a rhythm going. So if you could either clap or snap with me. Woke up this morning, sun high in the sky. Thought about getting up, but then I wondered why I got the blues. There's no reason to get up, COVID-19 blues. If I sleep until noon, it'll still be too soon. Wake me next June, COVID-19 blues. Grabbed me some coffee, walked around in a daze. Is it May, is it June, is it Monday? My mind is in a haze, I got the blues. The foggy, confused COVID-19 blues. The weeks are a blur, I have to endure. Oh, please find a cure, COVID-19 blues. Took a walk along 3rd Street, it's like a ghost town. The shops are all closed with no one else around. I got the blues, the nowhere to go, COVID-19 blues. I feel so alone as I aimlessly roam. I should just go home, COVID-19 blues. The virus continues. Is there no end in sight? Back at work now, I just hope it'll be alright. I got the blues. The country opening, COVID-19 blues. Stay 6 feet away, we might be okay. Oh, please go away, COVID-19 blues.
I'm one of those poets that was a little harder to corral, I think. I'm Rosalind McGrath, and I'm going to share my poem called Honey. Honey, your golden glow clings to whatever you touch, bringing sweetness distilled from the center of sun and soil's love child, with fuzzy yellow pellets flown on armadas of buzzing feet to serve the queen, perpetuate a species, a climate, a land, fanned into viscous treasure to pour onto bread and into batter, a gold mine of sustenance.
I'm Gail Mahan, and I am going to read Medicine for the Soul. It's about music, and that's the way I feel about music. It's medicine for my soul. Remembered nights, whispered sentiments, childhood memories emerge as musical notes drift among figures transformed into spiritual beings. A galaxy of souls, as drums beat, gyrating bodies move, dancers spin and twirl, ingesting music's intoxicating fuel. Figures drunk from an altar of notes, as they heal life's difficulties and hurts, descending under a sea of sound waves, a medicine for the soul.
I'm reading the shortest poem of all tonight. It's called Fusion.
What is your name?
Oh, I'm Beverly Mathern. The poem is called Fusion, and it's for Roger Magnuson. Famine kiss, serpentine embrace, the joy of it all. How did two specks in the universe collide, hold so fast?
My name is Gayla Malayer. This is a poem that I wrote while visiting the Smoky Mountains, and it was actually the first trip that we took when we were allowed to travel again, so it felt pretty special. And it's called Today. Today, in this pure lavender dawn, a full moon sets over the Smokies. Ridges draw shapes on the horizon. I argue with my friend over to be or not to be, a Buddhist of all things, because attachment or optimism, whatever we choose, does our eightfold path or our baptism really matter if we are awake enough to see wren and song sparrow, our Buddhist and anemone, far off tulip poplar and sweet gum as they sprout like soft fur on the neck of an uneasy dog, who deep down really only wants to run free through forest or field, nuzzle through dry leaves for scat or death, does not want to be bothered by challenge or threat, especially on a day when mist hangs like mystery and grass grows as green as Ireland. Not today, says the dog, who only wants to feel contentment in his bones, become as simple and sweet as moss, as it billows among trillium, among Smoky Mountain sycamore in March.
I'm Emmy Kilpatrick, and I'm reading Black Ashes with Prayer. I can't breathe, black ashes, George Floyd's need, the cross flashes. I can't run from black ashes, Jesse Owens won, hurdles and dashes. I can't sing the blues, black ashes. Holidays, strange fruit moves past white fascist. I can't defeat black ashes, Rosa Parks see as teeth and ashes. I can't inspire black ashes. MLK took us higher. Civil rights passes. I can't fight black ashes. Ali's human rights uppercut smashes. I can't say it loud, black ashes. I'm black and I'm proud. The Godfather of soul unlashes. I can't grace black ashes. Arthur Ashe's place in tennis matches. I can't dance and sing, black ashes. Michael's Billie Jean, the king of pop snatches. I can't jump, black ashes. Air Jordan's dunks over racial clashes. I can't talk, black ashes. Oprah Winfrey knocks, hearts open in masses. I can't lead, black ashes. Colin Kaepernick's knee, where black lives flashes. I can't erase, black ashes. Bubba Wallace races, past race flag hashes. But I can retrace, black ashes with prayer. On one knee before race, breathe peace into the air.
Hi, my name is Christine Granger, and I'm reading a poem my mother wrote. My mother passed away in 2019. My brother's here, and we're very proud and happy that she was included in this book. Sorry. Hello, my dolly. Nights we fell asleep to her rocking, the least of us. Mama was an orphan, never chosen. Our house bulged like the old woman who lived in a shoe. Children came to us, scarred, scared, by folks whose job it was to love them. Mama taught them to trust again. She'd rock each one and change the rhythm of their lives. With a man's hanky pinned to her apron, she waged war on noses and drool, wiped clean dolls and baby faces. With a string of suckers hung from a hook, she taught potty to the toughest holdouts. Blanket wrapped a child, I slept to the whir of her sewing. She fashioned velvet dresses, fur-trimmed capes for my dolls. Mornings she'd hold me close and whisper, "Hello, Dolly." She found money for a bus to Biloxi, where when I was 12, where a cure for asthma dangled. 4 days we traveled, me bus sick and Mama bent on me being whole. I drank spoons of the elixir until it ate a hole in the tablecloth. Years later, when my brother was killed, grief made her sugar climb, and gangrene took her leg. I stayed by her side. She woke from a coma, whispered, "Hello, my dolly," and stayed a while.
Hi, my name is Tara Hill, and I'm going to read a poem about my grandmother who suffered from Alzheimer's. It's called For Dorothy. A salmon-colored petunia reaches for the sun, alone and separate from the rest in the crack of my grandmother's front porch steps. It looks like she's blushing. She, my grandmother, quieted, rocks on her porch swing. Before Alzheimer's stole something from us, Dorothy would be much more chatty on midsummer evenings. I remember louder times, how she used to play poker with her friends at the Marquette Golf and Country Club after they played the back nine, with their bras streaming from their clubs in the back of her gas-powered golf cart. Pennants waving to the lifelong anthem of the Lake Superior. Blue-eyed, courageous woman. A woman who talked back. A woman who refused to go back to the Catholic Church because someone there called my half-black cousin a nigger. They're goddamn hypocrites, she warned me, often. Now time is bent. Now I care for her like she did for me when I was a child. I hold her hands. I put cocoa butter lotion on her tired skin, her limbs and armor, speckled and sun-spotted like an inland trout. We try to sing along to the once familiar tunes of Saturday nights with Elmer Aho on the radio. But her mouth seems hooked. I try to tell myself time is not so linear. When a warm south wind blows and sweeps her long white hair across our faces and taps my round belly, I wish my unborn baby could meet the old her. I wish she could scold me like she used to when I peel the birch bark off the trees in her yard. I wish when I looked into her still eyes, it wasn't like staring at death each day. There are no more mischievous waves churning. She smiles too much. And I want her to tell me a dirty joke just one more time like she used to. And embarrass me. I want that feral thing back, for me and for her. She doesn't know, so I kiss her, remind her. She's like that beautiful, brave and bold rogue petunia swimming on her front porch towards life and the sun.
Hello, my name is Lisa Fosmo, and I am going to read the shortest poem I have on here, and, well, because of time. So, the poem I'm going to be reading for you is called The Fall. The fall. I can't believe how far the year has fallen, how late the sunrise comes. It was summer only yesterday, grateful for this small parcel of time, this short passage that is mine. The old abandoned root cellar, dug out near the edge of the woods. An old log washed to the shore, notched for the cabin that once stood here. This place that someone once built, how wondrous it must have been. Now our own place overlooks it all. The blue jays cry out, cry like babies. It's almost time for them to leave. I will miss how they greet me each time, fly in low along the dirt road, their backs so impossibly blue in the last of the evening light. We have gathered all the season's fallen nests, enchanted by the mastery, the crochet of grasses, twigs, and bark leather, the gifts they have held that sing us home. When we have long gone, who will stand in wonder of our timber bones?
Hello, my name is Ronnie Ferguson. This poem is called Just For You. Sweatshirts are sliding to the front of your closet. Trees are starting to show their skeletons. All the TVs in the neighborhood stay on the Weather Channel, waiting for an announcement. There's been some mistake. Your neighbor stands at her window wishing her car would start, wishing her dead poodle, Sally, would scratch at the door for a run around the yard and a piss. Nightmares of the abyss you were warned about in church. A butterfly stuck by guts to the sidewalk, animated by the cool breeze. All these things at once. It may seem God has passed a note to earth. You think this is bad? Just wait. But really, it's an illustrated love letter and flowing cursive. At the end it says, hold on. Hold on, I'm making all things new just for you. Don't you know you've been loved since before you were pretending to be a tadpole in your dear mother's pond?
Hi, my name is Claudia Drozen, and the first thing I want to say is thank you to All Things Rastal. Wonderful. This is why we're here, because of the nourishing people before you. I'm going to read a short poem called An Amtrak Accident. I guess he must have lost his balance a bit, squeezing in hurriedly behind me in line, his luggaged arm apparently charged with electric current, zapping me. branding a tingly patch on my back as this brand new man scented the air with his leather jacket. He said he was sorry. I wasn't. It was like fresh drinking water, his touch. I didn't know what foods he loathed, whether he played an instrument, voted a straight ticket, preferred cats over dogs, had been smacked as a kid and thought it was good for him, was too lazy to cook most nights, when he might have graduated and from where, but this accidental bump out of the cold fluorescent crowd brought a kind of knowing that only bodies understand. The line having dispersed, he sat down next to me on the beige bench to wait for the train. I just laughed, a bit loudly at first. He looked confused, almost insulted. I told him I thought almost falling over in line was pretty funny. He laughed a little too then, and once the last echoes of giggle were over, there remained a small burst of warmth between us. At least I thought so. The kind that comes from two who now believe that one is not, after all, so very much alone.
Well, we're going to take a little intermission, probably about 10 minutes for you to rush back there and buy more books. Just to let you know, all of the purchases of books tonight, all of those proceeds go to Peter White Public Library. So buy, like, everything that he has, okay? And we'll be back here in about 10 minutes. We're going to have Terry come up and sing some more for us, too. Oh, sorry. Oh, we have a photo session.
Would you take this for me, Christine? No, let Christine do it. You take it for yours. Then you only have to deal with one phone. Did you get one? Oh, I'll take one of mine. Me, Christine. No, not so close, because I wanted it while I was reading. Now comes before lacrosse and for my Oh, did you?
Outside misty spit the whole rain, inside roaring like a hurricane. Lock and load my big decision. A big gun needs big ammunition. Grab the keys, grab the wheel, and I set my plan in tungsten steel. Watch the rear view, hit the gas. Your shell-shocked faces fading fast. North by Northwest, drive all night. Mentally and hang right straight on to London and the streets of London. Trouble be good and trouble be bad. This a waste of time. It's the worst I've had. Trouble comes in every shape and size. Scratch the truth and bleed the lies. North by Northwest, drive all night. Make Toledo west, hang right straight on till dawn, and the streets that call me. You'd say, oh, trouble, come on, make me happy. Trouble, go on, get your man a nice cold beer. Trouble, disease. No more trouble, trouble, no more. She drinks too much, doesn't listen too well. He might be heaven, be hypocrites, racing hell. He grabs her free hand when she's not on the phone. She's playing loose with her heart, lays close to the bone. He's a placeholder, he's good for the shoulder to cry on. He's okay for the kisses that she misses, he'll try on. He's not the one, she's having fun. He's just the one for now. He's not the one, she's having fun. He's just the one for now. He likes The awakening was gonna be rude. He knew she wouldn't have seen it coming even if she could. At first she guessed that he was just obsessed with his phone. He could talk to her, to talk to call her alone. She was a placeholder. She fell over the shoulder. She cried. They stand in line for his kiss. They all want to be the miss that he'll try on. She's not the one. She's having fun. He's just the one for now. She's not the one. He's having fun. She's just the one for now. He's not the one. The son of a gun. He's just the one for now. She's not the one. The son of a gun. Just the one for now.
Is it poet wrangling?
Let's give a hand to Terry one more time here. Okay, so it's poet wrangling time again. We'll see how it didn't. It sort of worked out last time. There's a little bit of, So we're starting with Lynn on this side, and then we'll work our way down. Okay, so
I'm gonna be
Lynn,
the one ruining it.
you don't ruin it. You're coming home with me, so if you ruin it, you're in trouble. Okay.
I ruined it.
So, we got Terry. Terry's in this
Musical
seat.
chairs.
Then Amanda's in this seat. And then you're right there. And then Esther.
Oh, I didn't.
Aaron.
I was perfect.
Gideon, me, Janine, Miriam, and then Linda. All right. Wow. I think everybody's in their places with sunshiny faces, right? All right. So we're gonna get started here. And our first reader for the second set here is Lynn Domina.
So Marty said my name, so I think I can be disobedient.
Yeah, you're good.
I'll say it. I'm going to read a poem called Chant to Lift Up the Soul of George Floyd. Smoke hovers above the old bank building, the shoe store clearing away its sidewalk sale, the Indian restaurant, the Thai restaurant, the Mexican restaurant, which yesterday served 140 orders of chicken mole. Smoke sinks into the skinny passageway between a new brewery and condemned diner beneath 2 floors of apartments. Smoke billows into attics, wraps itself around photographs, scrapbooks, wedding dresses, out through vents, out through the chink in the wall of Harriet Jacobs' hiding place. Smoke coats the fire escape, every rickety step, both rusted railings, seeps inside like the haze on a TV screen broadcasting Minneapolis set afire, then Atlanta, LA. We can't tell now whether the camera films the char of arson or the sting of tear gas. Smoke from smoldering bricks, weight-bearing beams, red bicycle frames. Smoke from heaps of worn tires that resist ignition. Smoke from limbs of oak and chestnut, strong enough for a rope and the weight it holds. Smoke from the limbs of young men. Smoke that conjures words like loot, riot, justifiable homicide. Smoke from penal codes, section 2058, 2059. Smoke from vats of bacon grease, from shoelaces, from leather belts and cotton shirts. Smoke from a lemon cake, fresh from the oven, swirling like condensation above ice cream, blanketing chocolate kisses, Twizzlers, Skittles. Smoke from caps stitched with an acronym, a president's slogan, t-shirts stamped BLM in 42-point sans serif font. Smoke from initials monogrammed on French cuffs. Smoke from Frederick Douglass's first pair of long pants. Smoke curling behind a reporter who shouts into his mic into the TV. Smoke from King's royal reference, from Malcolm X's abandoned surname. Smoke from names common as Brown, unusual as Plessy. Smoke coats a stray cat's orange fur, the veined ears of a shepherd mix every human being's skin. Turning forearms, the backs of hands gray. Smoke stinging our throats, filling our lungs. Smoke we can't breathe, we can't breathe. One night's or 1 week's residue, never enough to assuage any man's pain. Cheek scraping pavement, a knee on a neck.
I'm Terry Bachland, and reading a poem called Campophyllus principalis, ivory-billed woodpecker. They called you the good God bird, or the good Lord bird, because it was the response you so often elicited. The sight of you left us awestruck, wingspan nearly 3 feet, black feathers glinting purple, blue, then green in the sunlight, jaunty red crest, and that bill, that great ivory bill. It wasn't ivory, it was only the color of it. Perhaps this was all a terrible misunderstanding. They used to say you're gone because we destroyed your habitat. Sure, we did that. We punched your ticket long before vast tracts of bottomland hardwoods were taken to make Singer's sewing machine cabinets. Long before the cypress swamps were drained or filled, having been determined to be useless and offensive in their natural forms. As it turns out, we loved you to death. And by we, I mean every make and model of human who encountered you. It was equal opportunity extinction making. Voodoo priestesses wanted your feet. First Nations people made clacking bracelets and amulets of your bills. Victorian gentlemen in their fine woolen suits attached your heads to their watch fobs. You were hunted for your feathers by collectors, skinned whole to keep the spectacular arrangement intact. Even Audubon himself was part of it, shooting you so he could paint a perfect rendering of you. They ate you for God's sake. They must have figured you had a special connection to the Almighty, for they took your bones with them to their graves, clinging to whatever power might convey them to whatever might come next. Now we gaze upon a single small feather found in a tree cavity in Florida. Experts peered at it under a microscope and proclaimed it belonged to you, fresh as of 1969 or so. That inner secondary feather, encased and ensconced at the Florida Natural History Museum, is the only proof that you survived beyond 1944. If you did, and still do, I pray his eye is on the ivory-billed woodpecker, the same as it is on the sparrow.
Hello. I am a Lynn Bloomer in the book. Amanda is my given Latin name. I'm going to read an old favorite of mine called The Huron Mountains. Bug bites and cuts, dug earth trails for wayward creatures, dead beds of pine cushion and outlying adventure of rough underbrush, spider webs and dried blood. 40+ mosquitoes pull from each limb, a tick or two digs in, and your brief existence is diminutive to these 500-year-old trees, billion-year-old mountains. Every thick inhalation, ripe with ferns and dank detritus, ice-seated for hours, disconnected from the hectic human hive and is fed to the insects. Go on, take the blood, the flesh, and the sweat. It's a small sacrifice.
Hello, my name is Marie Bowery, and my poem is called Stopover in Union County. It is a story of exile, both of the wild creatures and the humans who sometimes wander too far. A mile out, I hear the thin, ragged cries drifting downward through the yawning sky. The sound pulls me from the warmth to stand unarmed against November's sting. They come in low, carrying the north country on broad, feathered backs, straining earthward to skitter across the pond. Their great, tired wings churn the water. Their weariness rises like fog to blanket the raucous voices. By evening, cold rain, a taste of sleet. The geese dream, long necks tucked into pockets of down. I pile wood on the fire. The wind circles the house, picks at the windows with thin, nervous fingers. With first light, the geese explode upward. Strange black letters hurled against the metallic sky. Heart-blood urgent now, they veer southward. Their voices strident with grief as they rush headlong into exile.
My name's Esther Margaret Ayers, and this is a poem about my son who is away. Waking for Logan. Near the end of dreams I passed among all the strangers, touching every hand, until I came to my own son, who'd grown from man to child again. I knelt, his arms twined round my chest, and mine through his, no need of words in such deep rest. His smooth cheek upon my neck, who was blessing, who was blessed. As when I had to leave him with others long ago, I could not fight the law, he must remain. But even so, it was enough to linger in this simple braid of grace, to know him who had come through me and feel his breath come and go. Rising from sleep, my arms outstretched, leaving our embrace was less parting than I'd guessed. Awake now, I wonder if far off in his own bed, in his own sleep, we somehow lucid met, and though forgotten or unknown by him, yet may his arms be light, and some fluorescence pass through him to song and string and stranger's clasp. And as for me, may dawn's gift last, for I hope now, heaven may be this, to meet and dream, the power still to bless.
My name is Erin Anderson, and I'm going to read my shortest essay, American Streets. On a suburban street, a neighbor mowed past his yard, shaving wild grasses in sandy soil, carving a huge expanse to be tended. He lifted up his entire garage, moved it over several yards, and began building a sun porch. Before construction was complete, he entered the psych ward. Then his wife left him. A tumult of asphalt in a dug-up driveway marked the destruction of this family. My marriage had fallen in on itself, not in a suburb, but on a country road, where a lacing of cracks reappeared on the plaster walls and spinachy patches of goose droppings from the bottom of our shoes marred the painted floor. I ran away from decaying linoleum and an architect of multi-storied dreams. In my box of tan and brown in one of 32 apartments, no sliding glass door, no window box, no balcony, I was invisible. Not like my neighbors in their single-family dwellings, their every shrub and lawn ornament a declaration of class and taste and personal habit. No one saw my tastes, my shame, in my cluster of cubicles where I nourished, rested, escaped. It was where I organized my thoughts for public consumption, the most interior parts of my being craving display. Concrete boxes housing reasonably priced goods filled my vision as I walked in the drizzling rain. I hated these business loop U.S. freeway sections, their flat, broad roofs, their asphalt moats, tolerated by citizens zipping by in cars. So I went back to Central Europe, to corner turrets and canted roofs and onion-domed spires, where buildings had faces, architecture, pretty stuff with no purpose. I smuggled these images inside of myself. I became a corner turret. Like the Italian professor at the university who was born in Rome. I'm proud to be from Rome. I'm an ambassador for its culture. He thought he was the freaking Colosseum. Then I remembered I was not a building. And when I returned to America, I no longer looked for artistry where none had ever been professed. I walked the stories of Midwestern streets, starting at the downtown bus depot, where beginnings were boarded and broken. The story picked up in the middle with a charity office, a Hooters, an adult bookstore, but the happy ending was the main thing in America. The climax at River's Edge, a riverboat casino, a jogger's path, or a 630-foot arch of steel and hope, and a nationally recognized hotel where I had brunch. I turned around and walked back to dereliction, back to a failure that stung because of all that had been promised.
Hello, I'm Gideon Hackett. That's my dad.
So excited.
Yes. Alright, I'm going to read a poem called Yeti's Fish. Yeti sits with his spear, waits for fish. He waits and waits, tries to spear, misses, for weeks. Sees other Yetis rarely, and he accepts starvation. Lady Yeti taps his shoulder. He almost kills her from fear. She carries a dough, drops it in front of him. He digs into it. Wild, sloppy. He finishes the dough, gives her a bloody hug. He continues to fish. Every 3 weeks, she comes back with food. More deer, a grizzly bear on Christmas and his birthday. He finally catches a sturgeon, tries to find her, but he is old, doesn't get far, falls to the ground. He feels a tongue on his cheek, looks up, it's her. He flips, motions for her to take the sturgeon. She accepts it, eats it, stays with him to the end of his breath. Lady Yeti buries him, digs deer antlers into the ground to mark he once was. She still visits every 3 weeks, brings the dough. When she returns 3 weeks later, it is always gone. No Yeti tracks, no blood, just a fresh sturgeon waiting for her in the snow.
I have a backup band for this one. I asked Terry to play something for me. So I'm going to read a poem called Ascension. One of the things when you're a poet that happens is that you become the family laureate. So for different occasions, you're asked to do things. And one of the things that's hardest is when you're asked to write a poem for someone who passes. Right? And so This poem that I'm going to read is called Ascension, and I wrote it for my sister Rose, who passed away earlier this year. So, Ascension for Rose, February 5th, 2022. I wonder what Jesus did as he ascended on that elevator of cloud. Did he wave to the disciples as he rose and rose like some kite broken free of its string, becoming smaller, smaller until he was swallowed by the great blue throat of heaven? And did the disciples keep their eyes trained on him, unblinking, until tears transformed that mountaintop into the Sea of Galilee? After he was gone, did the disciples stand there, look at each other dumbly, try to recall his last word? Was it earth, or dirt, or air, or mother? They didn't have phones to take pictures or videos, weren't able to scroll through their albums to remind themselves how dark his skin and eyes were, or how laughing made him blaze like Pentecost. Instead, they gospeled each other, tried to recall with letters God's whiskered face. Today, we gather in this church for you, dear sister. 2 weeks after the metronome of your lungs ceased and you ascended on that cold morning. I stood by your bed, held your hand, mapped its pulse with my fingertips. I don't remember the last word you spoke to me, or even second to last. It may have been my name, or mother, or ham, or simply yes. Like the disciples now, I'm greedy for every last scrap of you, your crooked smile, how you cackled even when you didn't get the joke. I spent my entire life knowing you, but not really knowing, until the end, when you were rising and rising away from me, getting smaller, smaller. I watched until you vanished from sight, taken back to that place you came from, that infinity between 0 and 1. Only then did I realize how lucky I'd been to have you with me every day, drinking Diet Cokes, listening to ABBA songs, begging me to wrap my arms around your shoulders. I could spend the rest of my days writing gospels and gospels about how much you loved me.
My name's Janine Rastel, and I guess I'm a poet wrangler. And the last time we did this, I told you people nobody was supposed to leave, and gosh darn it, some of you did. So you better listen to me now. I'm wrangling you. You stick around for 5 more years. You hear me? Every single one of you. I'm not kidding. So I'm going to read a poem by someone who decided to go to someplace better. But when I think of her, I think this poem is perfectly her. This is This Girl's on Fire by Helen Askel-Ramin, Helen of Joy. This girl's on fire, lit up with flames, not measly campfire flames, the kind we had in Girl Scout overnights, the kind you sit around and tell a good story. I'm talking bonfire, low tide beach fire, fueled with fallen branches, piles of scruffy brush, bleached tree trunks, old rubber sneaker soles, a fire with flames that shoot skyward, sparks that dance with stars, a fire that can hold it all, that burns away everything unwanted, that leaves the woods brush free, the beach clear of debris, the cottage empty of trash, the kind of fire that brings a girl alive. No burning at the stake, no residual welts and swells, the kind of fire that liberates, exhilarates, the kind of fire that is washed away by the incoming tide, that leaves nothing in its wake. No charred wood, no melted sneaker sole, nothing but smooth sand and an ocean of possibility. Thank you.
Hi, Miriam Taylor. I'm going to read A Year of Peace. This is a poem written about Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. I want to thank the Temple Beth Shalom for inspiring this poem. Thank you guys. A Year of Peace. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, on Yom Kippur it is sealed. On this new year my prayer starts. Grant me a good year to come. In perfect harmony with God my heart cries. Forgive me for my mistakes I made this year. Inscribe our names lovingly in the book of life. Grant me a good year to come. Help me, Adonai, to be wise in your eyes. Lead me, Adonai, in your ways. Be magnified by my lips as I praise your name. Grant me a good year to come. Let me walk in your ways and keep your mitzvot. Let me reach out to others with your love. Adonai, grant me a year of peace. Amen. Grant me a good year to come. Amen.
My name is Milton Bates, and I have to admit I'm up at the podium under a false pretext. I am not going to read a poem. Instead, I'm going to make a presentation to the most self-effacing poet in this room, who happens to be sitting directly in my line of sight behind that table. Rick, if you can get somebody else to watch the store for a minute and come up to the front, please. We have something from the whole group of poets who contributed to the anthology for you. Please come.
Is it a red umbrella?
Your choice.
Oh, there I am standing in Lake Superior.
This is that you heard Janine tell the story of the original cover for.
No, the second cover.
But, oh, okay.
That was
you had 4 years to come up with lots of covers, so we didn't get them all.
No,
we got
that was the second cover.
And this one's a dandy, I have to say. But it not only has that wonderful cover, but there is a bottle of one of your favorite beverages in here.
Oh, wow.
And I'll let you explore that on your own, okay?
But you gotta read a poem, though.
No. This is my way of escaping reading it.
And? Oh, more. There's more.
There's more.
You're just so special.
Oh.
If I can wrangle it out. Okay. This one has no special picture on it. You just have to take the geometric pattern.
I'm hypnotized.
But here you are. And there is sort of a dedication. It says, "Thank you, Rick, from the contributors to this delightful anthology.
Oh my goodness.
See the notes from each of us."
Oh wow.
So you'll find that there are notes for each of the contributors, at least all of them that we could wrangle together.
We're wrangling poets. We know what that's like.
So here you go.
Thank you very much. We're probably going to be behind schedule. It's 8:06, so you should read.
So you want me to read a poem?
Yes.
I borrow my book. Okay.
Do you need to borrow my book?
No, I borrowed one from the publisher. Let's see. Just have to make do with the microphone where it is. I'm going to read a poem that I haven't read in a long time, and I'm not even sure with the small typeface that I can read it, but we'll find out. It's called Détente. Neither couple could remember what word or deed had tipped the balance. Now they detected it in every lift of eyebrow, every compression of lips. Without ceasing to be friends, they had become enemies. Fast enemies, so to speak, or bitter friends. It was like a Christmas truce observed year-round. When they met in no man's land for drinks or dinner, they shook hands to show they had no weapons. The talk was cordial as before, despite a wary aspect in the eyes, a readiness to parry any thrust. How triste, they sometimes thought, recalling the days of unguarded laughter of a simpler time. There were, however, compensations. Love is patient, Paul says in 1 Corinthians. Love is kind. But can you count on it to feed the cat when you're away? Collect the mail, water the plants. What bound them now was something less than love, but more than fear. A treaty acknowledged let me try that line again. A treaty neither acknowledged, it really is small type, there we go. A treaty none acknowledged, yet none could live without, least of all the cat. There probably are a number of you that didn't have a chance to put your signatures in here, contributors. So since Rick says we have a little more time, stick around and please do sign in. So thank you very much.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Please do, if you haven't bought a book, do so, please. And if you have already bought a book, buy another one. I hear they make great things to hand out for Halloween trick-or-treat. Okay? And they're great Thanksgiving presents and Christmas presents. So you really need to buy these books and give them to because everybody should have poetry in their lives. Everybody should have poetry in their lives. So thank you all for coming. The weather was against us, but we are here. So that's awesome. And hopefully we'll see some of you over at the Landmark for the after-school party. Thank you.